Welcome into Point Blank, brought to you by Fitz Roofing. I'm Sports Map Houston's Jack Brame, joined by ESPN Houston's Joel Blank of the Press Box. Joel, always a pleasure. We're going to be talking Rockets today, but before we get into it, make sure you subscribe and like this video if you like the content. Joel, the Rockets have a bit of an interesting decision coming up. Christian Wood, Rockets fans have learned to love him over the course of the year. In fact, it didn't take long. I mean, he's been playing really well. The thing is, he's only signed for 3 years, $41 million. So the first year of his deal this year is going to go down as the worst year in Rockets franchise history. Next year, the second year of his deal, I can't imagine the Rockets are going to be in the finals. So by the time John Wall comes off the books, you're going to be looking at Christian Wood coming up for free agency. And part of why he's such a great value right now is because he's outplaying his contract. He's playing at a higher level than what he's being paid. He comes up for free agency and they pay him a whole bucket of money. That value is not quite the same. So here's an interesting question, and I feel crazy saying it, but should the Rockets trade Christian Wood?
Absolutely not, Jack. I don't think so, simply because if the Rockets are having any kind of plan in place at all in terms of forward thinking, and I don't know that they are, but if they are, when you think about the contracts you mentioned and you throw an Eric Gordon into the mix, the timing would be such that all of those contracts come off the books at the exact same time. John Wall has 2 remaining years after this year. Eric Gordon, I believe, has 2 years after this year. So you can start planning for the fact that you could have a boatload of money to deal with in free agency. If that means bringing Christian Wood back, so be it. If it means that he either outprices himself for the team and or has other suitors and competitors that want him, or you want to go after some bigger fish, you have the ability to do that. But you need guys that are going to bide the time for the team while they're trying to get above sea level again and get back to respectability. And it's several years away. So whether they get the top 4 pick or not, it's going to be several years before they really get into playoff contention again. So therefore, you have to survive the last 2 years of John Wall and all those bad contracts and all the things you're trying to do to stockpile picks. And part of that is you're not going to be competitive because your picks then will be higher. And I think that's the way they're thinking. They found value in Christian Wood. There's still some shortcomings with Christian Wood. Defensively, can he physically go down and guard the post? Can he do things to rebound when bigger bodies are against him? So those are things that are still going to be weighed out as well. And for the value that you're getting him for, I don't think it makes sense to get rid of him because he gives you more than he would if you were trying to trade him.
I mean, is there a case to be made, though, that now would be the time to cash in on that?
Let me throw it back at you by saying, because you're saying, could you get value for Christian Wood? But we just got done saying he's outvaluing his contract. So therefore, what you get back for Christian Wood would have to be of significant value to give you back what you're giving up in giving up a guy like Christian Wood and his deal. I don't think you're going to get $13.5 million back or within 15% of that in players that are going to be equally as good or contribute as much as Christian Wood. So I think there's just another reason why you hang on to him and you take your chances, because right now he's priced about right in terms of the next 3 years, because you see some of these other contracts. You know, Eric Gordon's going to be making 17 or 18 million a year for the next 2 years. We know John Wall's making 40 plus. So you need some value contracts along the way. And then you hopefully with younger guys that are draft picks, get more respectable and start building up your nucleus of what will be your future starting lineup. Christian Wood's in the plans for now. He very well could be in the plans for later, but at his price tag, he should be in the plans no matter what.
Joel, before we get any further into this, why don't you give us a word from our video sponsor, Fitz Roofing?
Yeah, we love Fitz Roofing, and they're loyal to the people of Houston. And right now, it's not just roofing that they do home repairs. They put up fences. They do everything that they can do to help you get through whatever you got going on. And that includes free, no obligation inspections where they come to you and tell you what they can do, and it doesn't cost you a cent. All it does is pick up the phone and call 832-521-3001, and they will come to you and tell you what they can do, and it won't cost you a cent. It's Fitz Roofing, making a difference, one home at a time.
A couple years ago when we saw Sam Hinkie in Philadelphia actively trying to get the worst records in the league, they would take on bad contracts along with picks. They say, hey, we'll take your trash. We can afford it. We're not going anywhere anytime soon, but you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to give us what we want, what we see as capital, and that's draft capital. Could you see the Rockets becoming that kind of basically the garbage can of the league for the next couple of years in order to acquire those picks?
It's a distinct possibility, Jack. And simply the reason why is because that same Daryl Morey that cleaned the cupboard bare before he got out of town didn't leave the Rockets with their own draft picks, didn't leave them with those assets that were so valuable to move around for Daryl Morey. So the cupboard's bare, and so is the roster. To get it better, we know that, look at Oklahoma City. Look at the teams that are stockpiling draft picks. They're doing so knowing that that's the way they're going to rebuild the franchise quickly. And the Rockets are limited and don't have the ability to do what Oklahoma City's doing unless they make moves, take on trash, to take extra picks, to get draft capital so that they can possibly speed up the process. I think it's more than feasible. I think it's definitely possible, and it's probable that they look to do that at least for the next 2 to 3 years, because after this season, with the protections that are on all their picks that are gone, and the swaps when they're not giving up their draft picks, they're going to be extremely limited in what they can do in the draft unless they try and acquire more picks. And that's something that's going to be the main focus of the franchise. It has to be going forward.